Oh yes, this is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. There it is. I hit a button and we are live. This thing is cranking, and I can't wait to introduce you to today's guest. She is a rock star. She is a marketing leader, but not just any marketing leader. She has that roll up the sleeves mentality. Like, let's figure out the strategy and then get it done. Let's make sure it happens. She's not afraid to get into the mix and figure out what's going on, find out where the gaps are. Expertise spanning all across everything from design to PR to CRM, sales training, social. Done it all. VP of Integrated Marketing at Enverus, Ashley Estilette. Welcome to the show.
Hey, that was quite the intro. Thanks, Casey.
Yeah, like the list of all the different experiences was like twice as long, but I was like, I don't know. I mean, I gotta get some highlights in there. But yeah, you're up to a lot of things. You've been doing a lot of marketing lately.
Absolutely. I think I'd probably get bored if I had to sit in kind of just one area. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to that, where the good thing with marketing is that you do wear multiple hats on a daily basis. So let me go ahead and pass you this thing. It's heavy for me, but something tells me you got this. Okay, here you go. Thor's hammer, you got it? Okay.
Got it.
Okay, you got it. Take Thor's hammer and smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Just set the record straight once and for all.
I love it. So this topic is super near and dear to my heart. I have so much passion around it. So the myth I'm going to smash today is that clients should be marketing's number one kind of focus. I know it sounds crazy, and while they're super important, my belief and my mantra has always been that sales should be marketing's number one client.
Interesting. Bam, smash. Whoa, careful with that hand. You just smashing things around. That nice dining room of yours is just getting holes in the walls now and everything. So what is going on here? I guess does this go back to the whole, like, the customer is always right and your customer is your customer, right? But it's different with marketing.
Yeah. So I think I kind of came to this conclusion over the course of working for several different companies. I've been on teams where sales and marketing have been just in complete lockstep. And arguably not just sales and marketing, right? Product, customer success, but it's sort of those internal functions.
Yeah.
And then I've been a part of teams where marketing kind of did its own thing and sales kind of did its own thing. And the difference in the effectiveness of marketing, the effectiveness of sales, the brand perception overall from a public perspective, the difference is so astounding that I just, once I kind of experienced both sides, I really saw the value in sales and marketing just being an absolute lockstep. And
oh man,
it's not always easy. Like, it's not always easy to get there.
Yeah, no, and let's talk about getting there in just a second. But before that, could you maybe paint the picture? Tell me about and which one happened first for you? Did you experience the siloed craziness first, or did you experience like the Nirvana harmony heaven first?
Utopia, yeah. No, it was for sure the siloed group, and it was a massive company, and I think that does make it a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
But I think you experience that, and you kind of think that that's the norm, that, well, sales just kind of tells me what to do. Like, I'm just going to come support them, and then I'm going to go do my own things that I think are the right thing to do. And then you're
going to ignore sales and just do what you want to do. Yeah. I mean, tell me more about this situation. Like, you're there, you're in this company, and what are the kind of things going on? What kind of activities is sales and marketing doing? And maybe after that, we can talk about the difference and what it was like in the other experience,
Yeah. So in this particular organization, there were a lot of acquisitions that were done. The company, I think, as a whole, was a little bit siloed, but I was fortunate enough to actually sit sort of at the corporate level. So I did get to see and kind of dive into some of the different segments and business units. But at the end of the day, I would, as marketing was kind of executing or planning or deciding, strategizing on what we wanted to do, I sort of realized that that nobody was really talking to sales, and nobody was asking sales either what they needed. At the end of the day, you know, sales are the ones that sort of feed everybody's paycheck, sales and product, right?
Yeah. They're
Everybody's got,
selling the thing, right? That's what brings the
yeah,
revenue in. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I just really clearly, I've always had such a tremendous respect for sales and what they have to do. I certainly couldn't do it. And so, you know, when you kind of realize that you're operating in a silo, you start to feel a little bit like something's missing. The things we were putting out publicly, you know, whether it was on social or on the website, just didn't seem to align with the way sales was turning around and selling to our customer base. And so, you know, the customer experience is super fragmented at that point, right? Your
Yeah.
brand isn't representative of, you know, how your sales team and product is thinking about the company and about what you offer.
Yeah, I can imagine, right? You come out with some content thing you've been working on for ages, and you're like, "Hey, sales, here's this content piece." And it's like crickets.
Yeah. And
Then
they didn't use it, right?
you didn't ask them, and they
Yeah,
don't care what you
exactly.
have to say. And so it could be completely off base. It could be completely unhelpful.
Yep.
And you're like, ugh, sales. We always make this great content for them, and they just never use it.
Yeah. And I think too, one of the things that I noticed that it did is it sort of forced inadvertently marketing to focus only on the top of the funnel, right?
Yeah.
We weren't talking to sales. We didn't know the deep details of any deals that were already in the sales cycle. And so it sort of flushed what we did to just the top of the funnel. And I am such a strong believer, and my team would tell you this in a heartbeat, in marketing, helping all the way down the funnel from the top to the bottom, and then client retention. There is so much that marketing can do to augment sales and their efforts. But man, you can't do it without having that kind of cohesion.
Yeah. And you know what? The whole age old, I always remember sales being in that kind of situation because I've definitely experienced that too. They're like hyper protective of the bottom of the funnel too. So even if you, but in this situation, especially if you're not asking sales what needs to happen, if you're just sort of interjecting yourself into the bottom of the funnel, they're like slapping your hand, get out of here. I don't trust you. You haven't talked to me. I don't know if you're in my best interest. I don't know if you're even aligned to the right numbers that I am. So no, I actually don't want you touching these leads. And
Exactly.
that's how you get like I've seen groups where they have a bunch of leads assigned to sales and that, oh yeah, we can't nurture them because they're in this stage, they're in their status on Salesforce or whatnot. And you're like,
Yep.
how long have they been there? They've been there
Yep.
for like 9
Exactly.
years. Do you think we can nurture them now? Can we take them back? It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. You know, you touch on such a good point, because one of the ways to get there that I think, you know, sometimes marketers, we don't give ourselves enough credit. I had a mentor at one point tell me that if you can't market yourself, you don't belong in marketing.
Mm,
And so that to me can be applied when we're trying to gain trust from sales. You know, if historically your company hasn't done a lot alongside sales, you're not, you know, to your point, you're not just going to be able to turn around tomorrow and say, hey, let me in on this deal. You're about ready to close it. Let me come in and help you out.
yeah.
And so you have to build that trust over time. And one of the ways to do that is truly, like, I truly believe marketers should sell themselves to sales. Market yourself and your team to sales, just like they market to clients and they sell to clients. Um, you know, I think about our sales team. One of the pillars of our sales team is being a strategic partner alongside our clients.
Yeah.
Um, marketers, we should be making sure that we're proving to ourselves that we should be a strategic partner alongside sales. And I think when you get into that mentality of, I got to kind of prove myself to them because we historically haven't done what I'm asking them to do, or, you know, because you do get a little bit in their business, right?
You do.
And
Yeah.
some are more receptive than others.
Right.
But I think, you know, as marketers, like, this is what we're good at. This is what we're good at. Put on your marketing hat and go internal and market yourself and give marketing that really big voice internally.
Man, this is really cool because there's a lot of talk about, oh, they don't trust us and we got to align. But maybe we just, and with this, I love this. So like really empowering because it's saying, hey, what are you good at? Or hopefully what are you good at? You're good at, you know, helping change perception,
Totally.
demand generation, build demand generation for marketing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Create that demand so that sales, you're not like twisting sales's arm to get them to participate in your marketing activity. You're like, they're like actively involved because you keep selling them on what's working. And that ties into things like, you know, when wins do happen, make sure everyone knows where it came from and really
Exactly.
position that. Almost like we need our own success stories internally, you know?
Yeah. And the more that you know, I've noticed teams start to reach out internally and bridge those gaps and come to the table with some strategic ideas. Doesn't
Yeah.
happen overnight, but the more that marketing does that, the more sales will then start to reach back. And it's no longer that fist fight of like, hey, did that lead come from us? Make sure you attribute it, and
Mm,
we're missing stuff because you guys aren't, you know, you start to really come together as a cohesive team and as partners to each other. And what's been totally remarkable is when you start to see that happen and you watch the energy of your marketing team when sales starts to inbound them and say, hey, look, I've had this deal, you know, it's sort of stuck here. We did an evaluation or a demo, you know, a month ago. I'm just not getting any traction. What do you guys got in your toolkit? What can we do?
yeah.
How can we accelerate this? And you watch the marketers get so excited when they're brought in on some of those more strategic activities, and it's not just filling the top of the funnel. It's really awesome.
Wow. Well, that sounds like fun working with a sales team in that regard. Like they're excited to work with you, and you're like, yes, I know. We've been marketing to you for years now, sales. No wonder you love us so
Bring them
much.
in, bring them
Yes,
in.
yes, come right this way. How does that take our eye off the customer though? Like, how do you balance that out? How do you? Is it chicken and the egg, or like how do you not lose sight of the other? It's like we got two customers. How do you balance that?
Totally. Yeah, super great question. So I think at the end of the day, you gotta you kind of slowly tiptoe your way into building that relationship with sales. You're always going to do the top of funnel lead gen, and it's extremely important to keep that going. One of the things that we've found successful, and we're still continuing to do it more and more, but try to what we've tried to do is get that top of funnel to be as sort of always on, nurturing, automated as we can, right? The
Mm,
more that you can get that top of funnel to sort of be that demand gen engine, leveraging whatever channels you have, whichever ones are the most effective. And so, you know, now to figure that out, you're getting really deep into the data and the analytics and your marketing tech stack.
yeah.
Does that support your ability to automate a lot of that top of funnel, and then be able to sort of take your team and say, okay, we're still going to do some creative stuff top of funnel, some one-offs, some really big campaigns, but for the most part, that engine can kind of churn for you. And then you can start getting really creative, and this gets into that creativity piece, right? Like your focus, you just have more time to focus on some of the strategic stuff.
You know, this is great, right? Like sometimes people think I mean, I don't just do this show to like, well, first of all, I love just hanging out with people. And second of all, like I get real takeaways from this. So like some of the things that I wrote down from this is it reminded me to like that top of the funnel, the more we get it automated, the engine like you're talking about, the more we can focus on other things. And it's
Mhm.
like, yep, yeah, I let that go a little bit. Gotta get back to that. And then also keeping the top of the funnel going, no matter what. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
important to keep
Oh,
it going.
totally.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. You can't ignore it. But I believe so wholeheartedly that marketing can help so much deeper in the sales funnel.
Yes. I mean, oh, for sure it can. We just gotta be they gotta let us in. You know,
Yeah,
and to your
totally.
point, your earlier point, they let us in if they're our priority
Yep.
and we're playing ball. Yeah.
And a lot of that as marketing leaders, you know, our job is making sure that we're aligned with the sales leaders. At the end of the day, some of this becomes like a top-down initiative, right? um, get in deep with them, show them and prove to them the types of things that you can do. You know, real targeted ABM, leveraging SEO more. There's all kinds of stuff that that marketing can do to help sales reduce churn. I mean, how many
Yeah.
of us, especially in this environment, are losing clients because we maybe kind of neglected them when things were when we weren't in COVID?
Right. Right.
And just protecting that churn base. I mean, you go to sales and tell them that you're going to help them reduce churn and protect that risk. That's something that a lot of companies probably haven't heard. A lot of sales members probably haven't heard from marketing before.
No, they haven't. I'm sure. Yeah. Um, man, there's so many different things here. You did mention the whole aligning with the VP. VP to VP, what is it? Do you guys do some ayahuasca together and like mushroom trips, or is it
Oh, not in
sweat
COVID.
lodges, shots till you're friends? Like,
It's still 5 a.m.
right. How do
Um,
you align with sales?
yeah, it's a super good question. And me personally, I've been in a really unique situation because the company I was previously with was acquired about 2 weeks before we locked down into COVID.
Oh, geez.
So you want to talk about a challenge, trying to come in and build those relationships and come in and tell a brand new sales leader and a brand new executive team, brand new marketing team, hey guys, let's dig in deep. Let's make sure we're aligned with sales. Let's do these, do things a little bit differently. We've had to pull different levers being in COVID. And so it was a real challenge, but I think
Yeah.
of it comes down to again, you got to market yourself. Like you can come to the table with all the ideas in the world, but you got to prove it. And
Yes.
so we were fortunate that our executive team was super receptive to trying anything, right? Like, you guys say you can do XYZ, let's see it. Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
If your team's up for it, take the challenge and prove to them why your team is so valuable and what else they can be doing.
Sure. 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 There's that initial, okay, show us what you got, but then you got to do it. You got to put something down, show
Yeah.
something's happening. Do you
Yeah.
think it's harder to align when you're virtual now?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure it is. We live this world now through these calls, right?
Yeah.
Through Zoom calls. Our team has done, I think, a really good job of trying to set forth kind of some guidelines around how do we structure meetings so that there's not burnout. How do we do kind of one-on-one relationship building without eating up everybody's calendar, right? You can't do one-on-ones 24 hours a day. You can't do it all day long, right? There's work to be
Right.
done.
Right.
Um,
By the time you're done your set of one-on-ones, you go back and do more one-on-ones. Right.
exactly. Then you have to follow back up from the beginning.
Ugh.
It's super challenging. I mean, I don't know, I certainly don't have a perfect answer. I don't know
Yeah.
what you've experienced. You're experiencing the same thing, right? Like, trying to reach out and build these relationships virtually. It's tough.
Yeah. My team's always been remote. And so it's been at least cool that way that we're not like, oh, what's it like being remote? How do you be efficient? How do you keep track of things? So we already had that figured out. But I think part of it was still, especially on the sales side, is that we're going to events. Even if we're remote, we're going to meet up at events
Right.
or company retreat every year. So there's still those aspects. I think there's some intangibles that happen when you're in person with someone where it's kind of hard to think you can duplicate them with a bunch of Zoom calls. I mean, you can only be on so many Zoom happy hours, you know? Um,
Before it's 4 o'clock and you're like, I
yeah.
gotta go pick up my kids.
Yeah. Early on, I did one where it was like every day that week I was on happy hour and I was like, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna have a problem. Right. So maybe one's good.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And
But
then you have
yeah.
kind of the other element of like, even if we were just virtual before COVID, we could still go on vacations, right? And you
Yeah.
could do those things that still got you out, even if the business environment was virtual. So I think that's the added layer of stress and complexity is, you hang up the Zoom call and at the end of the day, you're still kind of stuck in your house or still kind
Yeah.
of,
Tell me about it. Yeah. Get me out of here. I'll go
yeah,
anywhere.
you know.
Where would you fly to, like right now, if you could fly anywhere?
Oh, the Caribbean without question.
And what island?
Um, we had a trip planned to Antigua earlier this
Oh,
year.
Antigua.
It got nixed. It was going to be sans kids, just adults, one of our really good friends. And it was just, I mean, man, a beach. I'll take a beach anywhere, arguably, right now.
Yeah, amen to that. I was watching a show the other day on like Martinique,
Oh,
Martinique,
yeah.
and I was like, France, which I recently was in Paris like a year ago, and I was like, oh, I like this. So I was like, oh, Paris plus a beach, sign me up for that. They're like serving croissants on the beach. I'm like, okay, perfect.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's where we need to go. So that was a fun sidetrack. Creativity. You mentioned this earlier.
Hmm.
And it seems like, and this ties into even the Zoom we're talking about now, where it's like, okay, another Zoom call
Yep.
in getting out of the box. And I mean, same old marketing, same old webinars,
Yeah.
is now the time? Like, what's your take on creativity?
Oh, totally. The webinar madness, um, the video, I mean, it's what everybody turned to. as soon as the lockdown hit. And so here we are 8-9 months in, and there's still no events. Clients still aren't meeting really in person, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody, the burnout of webinars is real. So I think that revisiting the diversity of your sort of your playbook, your marketing playbook, right? What do you traditionally do? How is that different now? What's the burnout look like? Like, what's that reality? And this is where, again, when it comes to partnering so closely with sales, they are your eyes and ears to everything going on. Like, the markets change fast. What clients are challenged with is probably changing by the week. How they're trying to structure themselves for 2021. And so, you're kind of kidding yourself if you think that, that not being close with sales, that you can kind of market to your customers as effectively as you should be, right?
Yeah.
And so now's the time to talk, what are your clients telling you? What does their life look like right now? I imagine it's the same that we're all feeling, right? So how do you get more creative with, with doing more search engine marketing type stuff? How do you leverage the different marketing tools that are out there? Adjust your tech stack a little bit to what arguably is going to become a much more virtual world, even when we do open back up.
Yeah.
And so, I think the diversity of content, and it's not easy. It takes more time. It's not as simple as kind of firing off an email campaign. You had a guest on, I think it was last week, and she was the head of marketing. I can't remember what company she was with, but she was saying that they actually don't do any email marketing. Like, she is strictly digital, does everything through, I don't know if it was social platforms or whatever, but anyway, it was very interesting, because I think that's the right kind of mentality right now. How do you shift from just blowing up people's inboxes with the next webinar or the next best thing? How do you leverage the content that your company can produce
Yeah.
on all these different channels?
Yeah. That might have been Angela. That was wild. It was
Yeah,
like
that's crazy.
ungate everything and just
Yeah,
come and get it, boys. Like, come get the content. It's all here for you.
totally. Yep.
No email whatsoever. And it's just like,
I know, that's
and
cool.
it was working and she was doing great. So it's not like you can really say anything at that point.
Right.
You're right. Like, mix it up, be creative, do
Mhm.
something different. Not the
Yep.
same old, same old. If
Yep.
30,000 other marketing teams are doing it, probably not unique,
Exactly. And you just got to believe that the buyer's journey, the way they buy now in this virtual world is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's different, if the way our clients are buying is different, you better believe we better be relooking at everything we're doing to make sure that we're realigned with what that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that being the case.
Mhm.
Just, you got to mix it up. I have this cool idea I've been chewing on. Do you know about Twitch?
You were talking about it last, and
Yeah.
I haven't looked at
Yeah.
it.
I'm thinking now it's December, because like I got shit to do in October, November, but like come December, we're all COVID holidays anyway. So
Totally.
I'm gonna do this like Twitch channel where normally people would like watch other people play video games, and I will do the webinars I would normally do, or I do these podcasts, and it just all be like streamed live kind of thing.
That's super
Um,
cool.
yeah, and then what's
Can people
crazy,
ask
you could
questions and like
sure,
yeah,
why
that's
not? And then
yeah,
like you can people get points for the more they listen. Maybe you turn those points in for like swag or something.
I
Like,
love
I don't know. And people are like,
yeah,
why do I have to sign up for Twitch to get into your webinar? Like, there's no gates. Just be on Twitch. You can get all this content for free. Just try it out. It may be a terrible idea, but it might be worth trying it out.
totally. That's the thing. And these companies, like these kind of small niche tech companies that are coming out, are just, the stuff they do is crazy,
Yeah.
and they're constantly coming out with all of these new ideas and new ways of doing things. So, it's not always easy to stay sort of up to date on all the latest stuff, um, but man, there's a lot of really cool stuff happening in the tech space, I think, around marketing.
Tell me about the tech stack. What's your approach to tech? What's your, even to marketing automation, and not losing your soul in it? Like, where are you at with it? Love it,
Yeah.
hate it, beat it up?
Um, so I love our tech stack with a caveat that some of it you just don't end up using all of the sort of
Yeah.
capabilities of it. It's tough to find sort of that holistic, um, you know, piece of technology that's going to do all of your automation, for example. Like there's companies that kind of claim it, but especially being in the energy space,
Yeah.
one of the things I found really interesting is a lot of the kind of like buyer's journey and intent, and understanding, the journey of a buyer. And they're coming out with a lot of software technology. I evaluated a couple maybe 2 or 3 years ago, a lot of data science, right? A lot of modeling, that sort of then tells you at what point the buyer's sort of at that ideal optimum point for you to either market to them a certain piece of content, or, I mean, it gets really granular. Being in the energy space, it's sort of been a neglected space, I think, from
Mm.
that perspective. And so I haven't, this will be my call out to any company that thinks they can change my mind.
Yeah. Right. What's that like? Change my mind. I think this lacks
Totally.
right now. Change my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the energy sector has just been a little bit neglected as far as some of these companies being able to crack the code with the buyer's journey and the intent to buy in our sector, because it's tricky. It's tricky. We don't, some of the key parameters just don't apply. It's a
Like which one? Like just like a different buyer's journey than a normal B2B purchase kind of thing.
Well, I think it's tough to find the signals to key off of, and so a lot of these companies will say, "Oh, we can tell you if if somebody hit this website, or has Salesforce, or read this Wall Street Journal, hit the Wall Street Journal, or hit these certain publications." The energy sector has a pretty niche
Mm.
sort of world, and no one's just really tapped into to a lot of the signals that I think would actually give me a true kind of buyer's intent.
Got it.
Whether someone has Salesforce or whether someone has a LinkedIn profile is not going to tell me if
Got it. Yeah.
they're an ideal client, right?
Right. Right. Or oh, they signed into Twitter today. Okay. Cool. Thanks. No, it's not helping me. Really.
It feels like right now it's really it's a lot more like software or B2C type
Yeah.
value in it. I just haven't, and our company does. We do data science. We model data. We do analytics. That's literally exactly what we do. And so I think it was pretty funny going through the last buying cycle with one of these companies and trying to determine if it was going to be effective for us, because I brought in some of our data scientists into the
Oh
conversation
no.
to say like, hey, let's talk about your models. Let's talk about your algorithms, which is just unique to us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
Sure. The sales guy was like, "Oh no."
I know.
It's one of these prospects. I don't even know what the question they're asking me.
I did. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
You're like, yeah, the data scientist opens his mouth, everything out like whoop, in one ear out the other one. I'm actually starting to interview some marketing data scientists on here and got them scheduled coming up because I realize it's kind of an underserved part of, even we talk about SEO, we talk about social, talk about things, but we don't really talk about the nerdy data side and
Totally.
understanding what it tells us,
And there's so much like that's super fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. The question is, can we keep it a fun podcast, or does it
I know.
turn into a textbook? I don't know, but at least we'll have learned by the end of it,
You'll
one
learn
way or the
something.
other.
You'll have a dictionary of words to look up, I'm sure.
Right. As well, everyone, they're like, what? Well, like, don't worry. We'll put a link to a thesaurus at the end. Yeah. We'll put them all in the show notes.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, that's awesome.
Man, it's crazy how things are changing these days. What do you think about the future, right? The changes, all the different buyer's journey changing, the COVID stuff affecting everyone. What are you seeing coming around the corner that maybe has you kind of excited, like an opportunity that maybe we should be keeping a look on for?
Yeah, I think for us, some of the really cool stuff is you kind of touched on it, like some of the emerging technologies around like applying AI and ML to a lot of what marketing allow marketing to become more predictable. I think some of that stuff's super fascinating. I don't think we're there yet, but I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of really good stuff happening there. Before the COVID lockdown, one of the really cool things that we were doing, we have an extremely strong graphics and creative team.
Okay.
And we started looking at some augmented reality, which was really, really cool. We at one of our conferences, we actually brought in a hologram machine and took one of our geology models, put it in this hologram machine, and you could stand in front of it and sort of move your hands, and the geology model would like flip and rotate. And so you
Whoa.
all of the rock layers, and then all of like the pipes, all the fracking in each one of the layers. I mean, it was super, super cool. And, you know, being able to access some of that stuff nowadays, and it's not, you know, it wasn't super expensive, but it was, I mean, that kind of stuff just from a marketing
That.
perspective and kind of giving that wow factor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool stuff that I think, you know, people can start to leverage. It was a little bit easier when we could be in person.
Be in person.
Yeah, we had designed right before COVID, we had designed a brochure that had sort of 3 videos on it, but they were static images. And then you know, get your phone and you access it, and the video kind of plays then on your phone when your phone scrolls over it. And so anyway, some of that stuff I think can be really fun. You know, it's sort of that more tangible stuff that I feel like we're missing right now too, because we're all virtual. So like something people can touch and feel. And, you know, we've talked about, do we do something like that again and send it to people's houses, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people just aren't, you're just not getting that sort of physical interaction with people. So do you kind of do we go back to the days of like where we're doing mailing? I don't know.
Maybe.
We might have to do, I mean, it might be something different now. I mean, yeah, it's just crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, the augmented reality stuff is cool because it reminds you of like some movie you're in or something, and it's neat seeing that in action. And
Yeah.
what I was thinking as you were describing that, it just sounds fun. It's like putting the fun, the FUN back in marketing. You know,
Totally.
just back in customers are human and
Exactly. And emotional, right? Like
emotional.
yeah, I mean, that's, you know, everybody buys based on emotion. And, you know, it's funny, we're obviously a huge technology company. And so, you know, as we would plan all of these events and things like that, right? You always want to do that thing that customers are going to say, whoa, they're totally on that kind of cutting edge. So,
Yeah.
you know, clients come to your annual conference and they get to play with like a hologram machine. Like that's cool.
That is cool. That's what you talk about. Yeah.
And people talk about it. Like it's,
4 years later. How was
totally.
that conference? What'd you learn? I learned that there was this cool thing in Enverus. Like, it was great.
And I got to play with a hologram.
Yeah. Enverus had a hologram. Cool.
Mhm.
And at least you remember the brand, as long as you can remember that. So you have it
Yeah.
floating in midair. It's like, oh, you know, like you have a really good commercial, but you don't remember who did it. You know, that's always like, dang.
An opportunity missed. Well, and
Seriously.
it's all about that. That's when you get into the fun stuff of like the brand perception and, you know, making sure that everything you're doing is in line with your go-to-market strategy, whether it's, you know, putting on an event or, you know, putting out marketing content, whatever it is, every image, every word, all of your messaging, all that stuff just has got to, at the end of the day, feed that ultimate, you know, brand image and brand perception.
How do you do that? That sounds hard.
It is a little bit hard.
Yeah.
We've done a really good job of it, I think, because we've really kept a lot of those teams super, super close. Like, you know, our creative team is incredibly close to marketing. They actually sit in marketing, our company's creative team. I think I'm not sure if some sit outside of marketing, but they sit very, very close to us. We, you know, we put a lot of stuff in place where we sort of give gut checks to the team and make sure that our team says, okay, why am I doing this activity? Is it aligned with the overall strategy?
Yeah.
Do we have a plan to go to market for whatever this product is, right? And does that plan align with ultimately, you know, the vision and the brand?
Right.
And so aligning all that stuff, you got to make sure that the whole company and that everybody has that messaging to align behind, right? It's hard for people to get in line if they don't really know what the company, you know, stands for, or what our vision is, or what your mission is. And so, you know, if you feel like maybe you've lost that, it's you know, now in this environment, it's a great time to kind of give people a rally cry, something that your brand can stand for, you know, that everybody can kind of get behind in this crazy lockdown. So
Yeah.
I think
Simple message. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
Well, my next question is, who are you? How did you get all this
I
experience?
don't know. I'm just kidding.
I know. You're like, I don't even know. How did you get all this experience? What was it like growing up? You take us back, like little Ashley days. Where did you grow up?
Little Ashley days.
What'd you
So,
want to be?
so I grew up. Yeah, what did I want to be?
Right.
Marine biologist, like everybody, right? I wanted to swim with
Right.
dolphins.
You swim with dolphins. Yeah. Save them.
That's what they do, right? Totally.
Right. Oh yeah. That's all.
um, so I was born in Boise, Idaho. So grew up in the Pacific Northwest.
Cool.
Grew up
Someone on
right.
my team right now is in Boise.
Oh, really?
Shout out to Ari. Yeah,
It's
totally.
beautiful. It's beautiful. Super, super gorgeous place to grow up. Grew up, doing all the outdoor stuff, whitewater rafting,
Cool.
camping, all of that kind of. So that was awesome. Was a pretty hardcore gymnast and cheerleader growing up, and
Oh, sweet.
so that's probably where some of the outgoing personality comes from, naturally.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, probably.
yeah. And then just hopped the border of Idaho and went to school at Washington State. Go Cougs. And
Mm.
got
What?
to,
What'd you do?
so I went to school for journalism.
Okay.
Um, always loved to write growing up. Like little Ashley growing up I'm the kid with like the little books stapled together, and I'd write like little books.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, loved it. My mom actually brought a bunch over the other day, which was so funny. She kept them all.
You
Always
got
loved.
to.
Yeah, you got to. Went to school for journalism. My junior year of school, I did an internship with a daily newspaper.
Hmm.
Thought for sure, I was like, I'm going to be a reporter. I love to write. I love kind of the intensity of it. I can write really quickly. I did one internship one summer and was like, there is no way this world is for me. Like a daily print newspaper is so incredibly stressful. Like God bless the people that work in that environment.
Right.
Days where a city council meeting would be letting out and my editor would throw a notebook at me and say, you need to get down to City Hall now, like within the next 5 minutes, interview these 2 city council members about this topic, which I knew nothing about. I was, 20. And oh, by the way, come back and make sure that the story is written in the next hour. I mean, it was total madness. And so I'm
That's
sprinting
mad.
down the street, physically sprinting down the street to City Hall. I mean, it was just crazy. It's just a crazy environment.
And the topic may not even be that important. It may be just some.
Yeah, not that
Wow.
important for sure. Like just that stress of like, I knew nothing about the topic I was asking questions about. And so
Right.
it's just a really super fast pace. So anyway, not my thing.
That's cool you found that out though. Imagine if you just gone through all the school and you just like, all right, world, and then like day one of your career, you're
Oh,
like,
I hate it.
JK, not for me.
Yeah. So certainly was not my thing. And then graduated from school, moved to Seattle, and worked in Seattle for about 3 years, got kind of my first marketing job because I figured, being a good writer has got to come in handy
Yeah.
in marketing. My personality really fit marketing. And so the rest is kind of history. So after my first job, I just kind of fell in love with it and had super strong mentors my whole career. So that was awesome.
How'd you find those mentors? Did they
Typically,
find you?
yeah, exactly. I remember very early on in my career, sort of raising my hand a lot for projects and things that were sort of outside my comfort zone. We talked about it at the very beginning, just the diversity of marketing, and I sort of wanted exposure to everything right away. And so I feel like I was constantly kind of volunteering myself for projects, and it became like a very big sink or swim. Like I'm either going to go in and help redesign a website that I've never redesigned a website before, but I'm going to jump in and I'm going to help the team do it. And so, but man, if I look back, that just doing that and getting exposure to all of these different areas of marketing, it makes you such a good, well-rounded marketer. So, I'd say to the extent that people are, if you're interested in a bunch of different areas, man, raise your hand for the projects,
Yeah.
raise your hand to get involved. You typically start working with a bunch of other functional teams, right? So you get yourself sort of out of the marketing world and get to work with product and get to work with customer success and sales and, all the different groups. So,
Okay.
yeah.
On a similar note then, I have a hypothetical for you. You can
Okay.
go
Oh
back
God.
in time, use my time machine, Nashville, New Hampshire, have a time
Yep.
machine. It's in the backyard, cover the tarp. Squirrels are all dancing on it right now. But we'll clean it off, and you can use the time machine. You go back in time, and you
Okay.
get to see yourself a couple days after the undergrad.
Okay.
And I know you went back for marketing afterward, but this is before
Okay.
that. You get to go talk to yourself then and there.
Okay.
What kind of advice would you give, like, recently graduated Ashley? What would you tell yourself?
Yeah, that's a super good question. I think if I had to tell myself anything, it would probably be that attitude is everything. Like keep a great attitude. Um, and maybe it's just top of mind right now because we're sort of in lockdown and there tends to be this sort of added stress that you can kind of almost feel on people right now.
Yeah.
And not that it's not justified, but the more again, the more you can raise your hand and um, offer to do things, jump in on different things. I have it in my LinkedIn profile, like roll up your sleeves, get in the weeds. Um, and just, I think the most noticeable thing, like when I look at my mentors, when I look at people that I just say, holy cow, I absolutely love working with that person. Or man, every time I jump on the phone with that person, like there's people that you work with that you just in life, right, that you just love being around them, and you love
Yeah.
interacting with them and having meetings with them. And you could argue that it all comes down to attitude. Like be a team player, be the one that people are like, man, I love going to her or him because they're super on top of it. So I think I think just attitude is really everything.
Wow.
It just makes
Yeah.
such a huge difference. It makes a difference to your team. It makes a difference to your colleagues, to anyone, your work, like so yeah, there you go. Not that that was groundbreaking, but
Boom. No, mic drop moment. Drop it. Drop the
yeah.
mic. Boom. There it is. You know what? I don't know if you've looked into this. Microphones are expensive. So now,
Oh, I
once you
haven't.
shop for one, then now I'm like, every time I see one drop, I'm like, oh God. And then one
Don't do
time
it.
it was a cruise, and someone was doing karaoke, and they dropped the mic and it broke it. So
Oh,
we couldn't use that mic anymore. And so the DJ kept being like, don't drop the mic. Like, don't be, these things are like $300. Like, don't do that.
do the fake mic drop, not the real
Do
one.
yeah, drop a fake one. Drop like a plastic. We all need to get like plastic mics. So drop
Yeah.
those things. Yeah.
Do you remember the song? What was the song that they mic dropped on?
Oh, see, that's a great point. I don't even where did that come from?
I mean, it had to have been a great song if they dropped the mic, right?
Is it like a thing? See, mic drop. I wonder if there was there like an originally
I don't know. But I feel like that person must have been like really feeling it if they dropped the mic afterwards.
end of a speech performance. Yeah, you wonder if there was one like back in like the '90s or something where someone did it. Because there's a song, urban. Yeah, I know Obama did it one time, but yeah, like
There you go.
I don't know. I don't know. It's great question. These are the questions we ponder after getting through the marketing stuff. It's like what really matters is like,
Totally.
where did that come from? Why do we all do it? I don't know. And in 100 years, are they going to make fun of us for doing it? That's a good
Probably. There's
problem.
probably a lot we'll get made fun of for it in
Seriously.
100 years.
Seriously. Yeah. So how, I mean, how is it? You've got the kids, they're young, they're at home. Are you doing the homeschool thing? Or are they doing the
You
school that
know,
you're in now?
yeah, so we were fortunate. So we're in a suburb right outside of Houston. They opened back up um, early September. So we're
Okay.
approaching like 4 weeks in. My littlest is not, she's in daycare.
Sure.
But my oldest just started kindergarten. So he's like really feeling like the big man in the house. Like, I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
comes around and he's like talking to his sister, like, oh, you don't go to big kid school. You don't go. And she's just kind of looking, she's 3. She's kind of looking at him like, okay, I don't really know what that means.
Right.
Um, but they've done it, like, I mean, just man, hats off to all of these teachers. Um,
Seriously. I had to
be-
learn Zoom pretty quick, or I had to learn how to handle all this stuff.
and they're doing the virtual and the in-person, like 80% of the day it's at the same time. So like I haven't been in the classroom because they don't let parents in, but there's got to be some kind of computer or something that they're doing the virtual option. And then they've also got, all these 5-year-olds in a room. Like I can't handle one 5-year-old. Like
Yeah,
I
seriously.
cannot imagine 10 or however many are in his class. And so they're just incredible what they're trying to do right now. And, cross your fingers. So far, so good. They haven't had, any outbreaks. They do the masks, and
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, it
yeah,
definitely feels like we're coming out the other end of the tunnel. I'm kind of an optimist, but it does feel like even up in New Hampshire, our numbers are super low. Like, 17 people got it today. Like,
that's
I feel
amazing.
bad for 17 people, but there's a 1.3 million other people in New Hampshire that didn't get it. So that's great to see that it's coming down as opposed to being some crazy other spike. Yeah.
Are they doing pretty good in the schools? Like, have they opened up the schools kind of, or is it all virtual?
It's a good question. Yeah. They for ours, they were gonna say everyone's remote till October, and then October you can either stay remote or go hybrid.
Okay.
And we were gonna just stay remote for a bit, but then
Yeah.
they pushed it back to November. So maybe we have another chance now in November to see, you want to do hybrid or
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just trying to play it by ear. But it's been interesting doing some of the stuff at home with the kids too.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
where are they now? Do you have them like chained in a closet so they don't interrupt the podcast?
They are, right? Yeah, they haven't come in. Sometimes my son will come in and be like, "Hey, what's the password for the iPad?" Like, what's the password? And I'm like, "Not a good time. Dad's talking to the computer. Not usually a good time." I've been in like a webinar, and
Uh,
like the CNN news thing that happened, right? And
right.
I wasn't ready for it, and I turned red, and like I'm like, and I like mute, and then I had to like walk away. And thankfully, there's other people on the team who were like, "Okay, carrying on," but
Yeah, totally.
like
It's
now I
and
know.
but it's totally the world we're in now, right?
It
Like kids,
is. It's no big deal. Yeah.
it's no big deal. I was for a while, we had the kids home when COVID first locked down, and I was on a Zoom call in my office, and both my children run in and they're not dressed. And I was like,
Ah,
11 a.m. and I'm like, what is happening? What how did we get here?
right. Guys.
So it's just, I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
Super tough.
You're just like, I'll be right back.
Yeah,
Video.
exactly. I had to get off calls because my daughter comes in that there's a spider on the wall. So I've had to go kill spiders in the middle of, conference calls. So it's definitely the world between mom and sort of career
Oh,
professional.
yeah.
Blur.
How do you balance that?
I don't. A lot
Yeah.
of wine. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, it's super tough. It's super tough. Like you kind of had like a commute to, commuting home or something, right? To get your mind sort of in the next gear of mom mode. And you just don't have that now. Like I slam my computer shut and haul to go get the kids, and you don't have that time to
Yeah.
kind of adjust. And so it's super tricky. I don't know. We'll see if my kids survive and what they're like in a couple of years, and I'll let you know if I did a good job or not.
Well, as long as they're alive and you
Yeah,
haven't, yeah, you
that's
keep
a
feeding
plus.
them. They don't make you angry enough not to feed them, then we're good, I guess. But
Totally.
yeah, it's definitely a challenging aspect, and I really luck out that I'm not that like primary caregiver. But what's cool is now you get to help out a lot more because I'm at home too, so we can like I take over at night. It's
The
like
dad,
I
yeah,
got
yeah,
it,
totally.
and it's cool that way. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that
it's
is a
hard. It's totally
mhm.
hard. It's like the real hard. We complained about our first world problems before this. We're like, oh, my coffee's cold, or oh, they misspelled my name on my Starbucks cup.
That's for sure. That's a really good silver lining, right? Like we're gonna come out of this and be like, man, I'll happily take my 45-minute commute. Like I'll happily take the time to myself.
Yeah, actually,
It's
that's weird. People might actually want commutes now.
like the quiet time with no.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they just want to listen to more hardcore marketing podcasts and like
oh,
the travel
100%.
time to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what everyone's for sure thinking.
for sure, for sure. Everyone, all three of us listening to the show today. No, there's a few more. It's a few more. But where can people connect with you? They want to reach out. They want to say hi, learn more from you.
Yeah, probably LinkedIn, honestly, is
Okay.
the best way. And I absolutely welcome anything, like any ideas, like man, this environment too has kind of made me realize how important it is to kind of brainstorm with other marketers,
Yeah.
connect, share ideas, like what's working. I've got a CMO that I try to connect with quite a bit, and it's like, you know, you hear, how are they, what are they doing? You know,
Yeah.
what's some of the creative stuff? You know, I've heard people doing really intimate virtual sessions where they send clients like a bottle of wine, and you know, you do it from like 6:30 to 8 at night as opposed to like, you know, during business hours. So, I mean, there's just a ton we can learn from each other right now.
It's so true. It's so
Yeah,
true. And it's not even competition. It's just we're all in this mix together.
totally, totally. Yep.
Well, I know if people have learned something here, and I freaking know they have because I've got like 2 pages of notes over here, front and back, right?
Awesome.
And all this stuff, and like that came from today. That's not like some other piece of paper.
Yeah, I like the boxes too.
Oh yeah, some of these things are like this, like no, like actually this, and like this too. But yeah, if you've learned something today, share this episode with someone else.
Totally.
LinkedIn's a great place for that. Tag Ashley, tag myself. We'll
Absolutely.
comment. We'll start a conversation. But that's thought leadership, you know. So that's what people need to do,
Yes.
for
Yes.
sure.
We
And with
we
that,
all right now.
thank you so much for being on here. This has been fun. This was like, hopefully, this was a good break between intense sales calls and all the other things you got to do.
Yes, it was awesome. I totally needed this. Thank you so much
For
for having me.
sure. Well, we'll have to make a regular. It's like marketing therapy. Make it a regular every quarter or so. We'll get
Oh
back
yeah.
together and see what's changed and catch up and that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, think about it. In another quarter, we're all going to have, you know, a ton of new stuff that we've learned or that we've tried that work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going to change rapidly.
And the buyer's journey may be completely different.
Yep. Yep. Probably will be.
Right? Just when I was getting used to this one.
Yep. That's how it works.
Man, well, thanks again. I mean, this is cool. I definitely have to chat again.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thanks, Casey.
Yeah, and for those people listening, this has been the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will catch you all next time.
Bye.